Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have just had an amazing time making this one project. This project was especially dear to my heart because I've been wanting to do something big to give back to the community. And by giving back, I don't just mean smiling at people, holding doors open, helping out, taking back trolleys at the shops, something like that. I know that's what I do in my everyday life. I try to do something good every time I'm out. I try to help out wherever I am, and it's really interesting because almost every time I'm out there, there is an opportunity to go above and beyond what you would normally do. So I'm not talking about that kind of doing good. I'm talking about something really big. So I went online and I found an Australian hamper brigade, or Christmas, I guess, hamper brigade, where they needed volunteers to put together hampers for families in need. So I registered myself, and on the day I took Zane there in the morning, and it was the first time I've ever done anything like that. It was really a great morning. I met some really wonderful people. The whole spirit of the event was so beautiful, and I'll put some photos up as I speak, but you know, like it was a lady and her mom's next door neighbor. They've been running sausage sizzles at Bunnings. They've been asking for donations. The elderly mom and her next door neighbor run a craft group where they knit and crochet, and they had all these blankets and beanies and some really they made some really beautiful things, you know, handmade gifts. And so we just kind of rocked up. The food truck came and delivered all the food that had been donated and had been purchased, and we all set about making hampers for families in need. And we'd go up to a table, get a slip that tells you that there's a mom and like 4 children, and you would just go through picking up one of everything, or if it was a big family, you'd have 2 of everything or 3 of everything, and then add a present at the very end according to age, and then you decorate it and put it off to the side. So basically you were loading hampers, and then you'd put your name down for the suburb that you wanted to deliver to. You know, she got really emotional in the opening speech, saying that some of these families are foster families where they're looking after their own children and like 3 other children. Some of them are grandparents looking after their grandchildren. Some of them are single moms looking after kids. Some of them are single dads looking after their kids. A few of the slips that I had were just foster children who were at primary school, so I had to deliver that basket to the primary school. So, you know, there are some really needy people in our community, and I felt so part of the community. I felt like I was really doing something that was worthwhile, and I want to do it every day of my life. I don't want to just wait for Christmas for big opportunities like this. I want to make a difference in someone's life every day. So as a result of this project, I decided that, you know, there are lots of organizations out there who are looking for help all year round, and I hope to be a part of them. This project started off as one good deed a day for 25 days in December. And really, it doesn't just have to be December. It could be any month, or it could be you want to do each of these deeds in the span of a year. So it's just, it was a project that I did for December for Aunty Vera's December kit, but really it's something that I'm going to be working towards next year so that I have fulfilled all of these deeds. Okay, feed ducks or wildlife at the local park. Once again, this is, and you know, kindness does not just extend to humans. Kindness extends to animals as well. You know, we have our pets and we feed our pets. That's really good. But you know, do you know how hard it is to gain the confidence of a wild creature? Ducks are pretty good conditioned to come where food is. But you know, have you ever taken care of an animal that is injured in the wild and brought them home and helped them? That is so rewarding in its own way. Sure, it's challenging, but so rewarding. But you could just start off with feeding the ducks. We've got feeders in our backyard, and we just, you know, spend $20 every fortnight because they just come. We spent $20, and that's our kind of good deed to feed wildlife. So yeah, that's another one. All right, so anyways, there's so many here, there's so many ideas, and these are ones that, you know, I went online and had a look for some of them I wanted to do. These are things I wanted to do myself. So yeah, so if you're interested in if you're interested to see how I made this project, so basically these are pockets here. I used one of the papers from the Carta Bella collection from Aunty Vera's December kit. I used my tag die to make tags. I used the Inca Gold to ink that up, which is why it has that beautiful sheen. And I used some of the confetti circles as well. I also tried my hand at acrylic pouring, which was hilarious, and you'll see in the video how much trouble I had. So if all you guys want to do is watch me struggle with acrylic pours, then, you know, that'll be enough to attract your attention and to give you a good laugh. Here we go. This is how I made this project. Okay, so I'm starting off by cutting up that 12 by 12 sheet into the numbers. Now these ended up being 2 inches by 2 inches. So I've got 2 inches by 2 inches here. I'm reaching for this stretched canvas that I have in my collection. I just buy these when they're on sale. I don't know what I'm going to do with them at the time, but they always do come in handy. So I am thinking of doing like an advent calendar with a twist. I came across this amazing story, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it out to you in the voiceover while I'm working, so you understand the premise of where I'm coming from with this project. So I'm thinking 5 across by 5 down. We'll be able to get every single, yeah, so it will fit. What I did want to do is I wanted to do some kind of little pouch that they were sitting in, so that this sits in here like that. And in order to do these pockets, you're going to need cardstock that is 5 inches wide by 2 3/4 inch high. So I have a whole heap of that already pre-cut. I pre-cut that when I cut these squares up. This is what we're going to do so that we can have all these pockets on here. So let's move this to the side. I'm going to show you really quickly how I made the little pocket. So I want you to grab your bone folder, and I want you to score at 1/2 inch here on the side, flip it over and score at 1/2 inch again. Then I want you to come in here and score at 2 1/4 all the way down. I then want you to go ahead and remove this entire section. And also this entire section. And basically that's all you're doing. So this is going to fold in, this folds here, and this folds under, and then this folds over. And that's all there is to it. Now, I am a little bit of a finicky pocket maker, so I always taper in my edges. So go ahead and taper your edges if you want, otherwise you don't have to. Flip this over, add my double-sided sticky tape, and I am going to flip that as well and add my double-sided sticky tape, and then I'm going to close the pocket. Just like that. So that's 2 down and 23 to go. So while I make the rest of these pockets, I want to tell you a little story about the white envelope. It's just a small white envelope stuck among the branches of our Christmas tree. No name, no identification, no inscription. It has peeked through the branches of our tree for the past 10 years or so. It all began because my husband Mike hated Christmas. Oh, not the true meaning of Christmas, but the commercial aspects of it. Overspending, the frantic running around at the last minute to get a tie for Uncle Harry and the dusting powder for Grandma, the gifts given in desperation because you couldn't think of anything else. Knowing he felt this way, I decided one year to bypass the usual shirts, sweaters, ties, and so forth. I reached for something special just for Mike. The inspiration came in an unusual way. Our son Kevin, who was 12 that year, was wrestling at the junior level at the school he attended, and shortly before Christmas there was a non-league match against a team sponsored by an inner-city church. These youngsters, dressed in sneakers so ragged that shoestrings seemed to be the only thing holding them together, presented a sharp contrast to our boys in their spiffy blue and gold uniforms and sparkling new wrestling shoes. As the match began, I was alarmed to see that the other team was wrestling without headgear, a kind of light helmet designed to protect the wrestlers' ears. It was a luxury the ragtag team obviously could not afford. Well, we ended up walloping them. We took every weight class, and as each of their boys got up from the mat, he swaggered around in his tatters with false bravado, a kind of street pride that couldn't acknowledge defeat. Mike, seated beside me, shook his head sadly. "I wish just one of them could have won," he said. "They have a lot of potential, but losing like this could take the heart right out of them." Mike loved kids, all kids, and he knew them, having coached Little League football, baseball, and lacrosse. That's when the idea for his present came. That afternoon, I went to a local sporting goods store and bought an assortment of wrestling headgear and shoes and sent them anonymously to the inner city church. On Christmas Eve, I placed the envelope on the tree, the note inside telling Mike what I had done and that this was his gift from me. His smile was the brightest thing about Christmas that year and in succeeding years. For each Christmas, I followed the tradition. One year sending a group of mentally handicapped youngsters to a hockey game, another year a check to a pair of elderly brothers whose home had burned to the ground the week before Christmas, and so on. The envelope became the highlight of our Christmas. It was always the last thing opened on Christmas morning, and our children, ignoring their new toys, would stand with wide-eyed anticipation as their dad lifted the envelope from the tree to reveal its contents. As the children grew, the toys gave way to more practical presents, but the envelope never lost its allure. The story didn't end there. You see, we lost Mike last year due to dreaded cancer. When Christmas rolled around, I was still so wrapped in grief that I barely got the tree up, but Christmas Eve found me placing an envelope on the tree, and in the morning, it was joined by 3 more. Each of our children, unbeknownst to the others, had placed an envelope on the tree for their dad. The tradition has grown and someday will expand even further with our grandchildren standing to take down the envelope. Mike's spirit, like the Christmas spirit, will always be with us. This true story was originally published in the December 14, 1982 issue of Women's Day magazine. It was the first place winner out of thousands of entries in the magazine's My Most Moving Holiday Tradition contest, in which readers were asked to share their favorite holiday tradition and the story behind it. The story inspired a family from Atlanta, Georgia, to start the White Envelope Project and Giving 101, a non-profit organization dedicated to educating youth and the importance of giving. So after the pockets are finished, I'm now thinking of what I'm going to be putting in the pockets. I'm reaching for 2 of my tags, a larger one and a smaller one. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut a whole lot of craft cardstock out of this larger tag. And then I'm going to take the smaller tag and cut out some of that Cartabella Santa's Workshop paper collection. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to play with this Inca Gold. This aquamarine color is so beautiful. So what I ended up doing is just using my finger and applying it to the entire side of one of the tags. And after that, I grabbed some of this metallic cord and I threaded that through so that both the small tag was attached to the larger tag. I also made sure that I buffed off the Inca Gold once I applied it. That way it doesn't come off on your fingers when you touch it after it's been buffed off. After all the tags have been buffed and I've attached the metallic cord onto each one, what I wanted to do was add one good deed to the back of each of these tags. So here we go. I'm going to show you what I put on the back of each one. Feeding the ducks or any wildlife at your local park. Donate something that you don't use in your house anymore. Pick an old bag and fill it with toiletries like socks, toothbrush, toothpaste, creams, deodorant, toilet paper, and hand it to a homeless person that you see on the street. Hand a gift to your local crosswalk attendant. Donate canned food at your local food drive. Buy a present for a child on the Kmart tree. Send someone you know an anonymous card and tell them just how wonderful they are. Catch up with your neighbors. Give $1 to a child that you meet on the street. Send a bouquet of flowers to a nursing home. Donate the equivalent of a cup of coffee or more to charity. Buy a coffee for the person standing behind you in the line. Buy handmade instead of commercial this Christmas. Pick up litter on your walk. Make muffins for your local volunteers. Support a local organization by participating in their drives. Thank a teacher in your life. Pay for a young family's dinner tab. Send a letter to a service person overseas. Buy a rose and hand it to a stranger who smiles at you. Sponsor a child. Participate in community events and be involved in your community. Make or buy a gift for a greeter at your local store and tell them just how wonderful they are. Support online, whether that's giving people a shout out or a review or buying from their Etsy. Send a card to your local congressman and thank them for the hard work they do for you behind the scenes.